Моя голова болит. Как будто кто-то ударил меня. Это ты меня бил, Ти? Да, это ты. Ты это сделал. Со всеми нами.
Не могу в это поверить.
Цель найдена. Ты меня слышишь? Думал, что перебил нас всех? Нет, Джордан создала отличную армию. Через минуту ты сам в этом убедишься.
Вы слышите меня? Сейчас я приду к вам. Вот тогда вы поймете, что такое настоящий ад.
Я никогда не понимала твоих отношений с Блэкмором. Иногда мне казалось, что и ты их не понимал. Тем не менее, пора с этим покончить. Встретимся на фабрике, и я покажу тебе путь к нему.
Ты, наверное, знаешь, что врачи любят спрашивать пациентов об их матери. Но ты ведь не знал свою мать. Может быть, поэтому тебе сложно принимать решения. Ты никогда не уверен, что правильно, а что нет. И все из-за того, что ты не знал свою мать. Но я знаю ее.
Ты уже близко. Блэкмор здесь, я просто знаю, что он здесь. И я уверена в том, что ты не сдашься. Только не сейчас. Ведь тебя ничто не сможет остановить, кроме тебя самого. Это ужасно. Страдания всех тех людей. У меня не укладывается это в голове. Не смеет подбрасывать мир. Блэкмор всегда все усложнял. И сейчас тоже. Нужно найти другой путь. Осторожно, Ти. Я знаю, что это единственный выход, но что-то не так. Тут ловушка.
разочаровал девушку, Торн. Я думала, ты чему-то научился, но ты не понимаешь, кто на самом деле желает тебе добра. Ну почему же ты такой тупой? Мои ребята никогда не предавали меня. Теперь ты увидишь, что это так. Ты никогда не задумывался над тем, почему чудовище следует за тобой повсюду? Тебе понравилась наша романтическая поездка через весь город? Мужчины такие предсказуемые. Ты никогда не задумывался над тем, почему чудовище следует за тобой повсюду? Может, я Тебе не очень везет. Я не работаю с неудачниками. У тебя всегда все не слава богу.
Да, Ти, Блэкмор здесь. Он только значительно глубже. Поверь в свои силы, и ты сможешь попасть к нему. Тебе придется идти туда самому.
Когда ты знаешь, что жертве некуда бежать, охота подходит к концу.
Stars can withstand the harsh words of the critics. It's time to listen to your reviews, Talk.
I admire your skill at the hunt, though you could use some refinement.
I'll give you that. You know how to smack the skeezers down. But not quite like me.
And I have been treating you for so very long, relatively speaking. Let us begin with that fine fellow Hejira. You remember him, don't you?
I thank you for getting me this far.
Smashing work, Talk. But he was a fairly easy one, wouldn't you say? Truly a man who could handle himself.
That's the... yeah.
Parasitic junkie. You may have helped him, but to what end?
more helpful when the subject was someone a bit more easy.
Maybe Ernesto was wrong. Clearly not all the inmates in Abbott are the devil incarnate.
Most touching. It would appear chivalry is not quite dead, merely decomposed. Do you remember an optimistic fellow saddled with the nickname of Junior? I wonder, did Warden Elroy II know of your previous crimes?
I owe you, Torque. Big time.
You're so good. I would have done him up nice, just to see if he liked it like that. He looks like the type.
Fellow. Not exactly the most brave you'd find, but he was a strong man. How do you react to other strong men,
Bloody hell! I'd say thank you, but at this point, I don't know if you did me a favor. None of us are gonna live forever, are we?
I admire professional men, but I would not lift a finger to help someone who shirks his responsibilities.
But far from least, your dear friend Miles. Feel your mind drift back to that moment in his cell block when it all came to a head.
And what the fuck is up with you, my man? First I hear this, I can't believe I say no way. Not my man, Torque.
What made him so very angry at you? And what happened to him there? Your inaction hardly seems worth commenting on, but he seems to have found out your original sin. Thoughts?
Is inevitable. Now we must determine which of us is the better at our craft. We will leave no doubt. A good shot, but I do not put down that. Who were your people? Do you even know? Near done. My God. Some creatures will live to run and hide. Who owned your great-grandfather, your great-grandmother? It is likely that I was once commissioned by their master. If that is true, this is a but I do not go down that. So now, I know the feeling.
Now, my little one, let me show you something special. In my game, I needed somewhere people could be taught a lesson.
They were pretty bad people, huh?
Oh yes, very bad. Cheaters, liars, fools. I'd tie them up first, and in they would go.
Could they get out?
No, that was the whole idea. They'd choke on the filth and waste in there, and they'd learn.
Damn!
Now, who have you brought with you there?
My little brother, Malcolm. Dumbass.
He's just in your way, isn't he?
Yeah, most times.
You'll never get far in the game with him holding you back. Go on. Shove him in. Teach him.
I don't know.
Think about it. What would your father do?
No! I won't do it! I'll never do it!
Too bad he has such a loser for a role model. But he's still cramping my game.
can ruin you, T.
You're alive? You're the first thing I've seen come out of that hole with 4 normal limbs. I thought you were either dead or were going to turn into something else any minute. Pleased to meet you. I'm Rance Truman.
He seems eccentric, but harmless.
He will ruin you.
He's not what he seems.
Bleed him out. Splatter his brains. Kill, kill, kill.
You were an abbot, just like me. I could tell from your pants, of course, but also your eyes. The eyes can't hide what they have seen. They transferred me out of Abbott when I wouldn't stop talking about what I'd learned. They thought Eastern would be better for me. They were wrong. I'm just waiting down here. I escaped from Eastern during the Cataclysm. Ran my legs tired out there for a while. Dropped too many of my papers, I'm sad to say. Now I'm just going to stay right here in this oasis. The things come out of that hole and then they go right up those stairs. Don't even stop to say hello. It's as if they know I'm special. Don't want to bother me. To look at it, you might think Carnate was somewhere unique in its history. But now I'm sure you'd agree. Everywhere you go, the soil is saturated. You've heard about the Warden from Eastern? Not Junior. His father. Warden Elroy the First. The one that kept inmates in solitary until their brains melted. And he was coming up in the ranks at the time of the Great Fire under the machine shop. Makes you wonder. Of course, in the end, Warden Elroy the Senior got his in a riot. The inmates paid dearly for that one. They never got the blood stains out of the lunchroom floor. This whole city was built on the backs of the exploited. Even in Monument City, you don't see a memorial to the ones who died in construction cave-ins. It was cheaper to Underground Railroad came through here. These days, that usually makes people feel proud. Too bad the infamous slave hunter Copperfield came to Boston. Shortages of the Depression, he found some perfectly fresh human corpses to fed the hungry with. I never understood why that upset everyone. In this city, if a prostitute is reported missing, the report goes right in the trash. If they counted, they'd know that a few decades back, 71 street workers disappeared. Cops don't know about Luther Stickwell. The underground knows him well enough. Once I tried that trick on myself with that sharpened spoon, they transferred me out of Abbott. And now look what's happened there. Exactly like I said. I just wanted to tell them the truth. And now the truth has come. I've been watching this suffering for a long time. Let me tell you, it is tried to end it all. They called me crazy. That was the most sane thing I ever did. I could not bear to witness it.
You always had trouble getting your game on.
I've seen men hung from trees in the name of justice. I've seen dealers lead their own neighborhoods into the abyss. I've seen people melted for preventable fires.
You coming home? Yeah, your first home. It's not much farther. Trust me, it'll be worth it.
Flash before my eyes. Now it's time to die.
You have a whole lot to learn, player. Now follow me and get your schooling. Remember where you first start playing the game? It's a tough place. You learned hard.
Like the reflections in a shattered mirror, your psyche is delicate to the point of brittle. I've done what I can for you, for all the versions of you. Now your childhood home awaits. Your burden is to discover which shard of the mirror goes the deepest.
Right up here's where you and me got started. Always keep your head up. Keep your mind in the game. Let the other guy make the first move. A player's got to have his eyes on the competition at all times. Not much of a place to learn the rules, is it now? there, my little one. Come over here. Come on now. I have to educate you. Do you know what you want to be when you grow up?
Happy.
Happy's not good enough. You've got to be a player. Then people respect you. You understand the difference?
I don't know.
That's okay, my little one. I've got years to teach you.
Who you talking to?
Nobody.
You recognize this place? You tried your best to grow up here, learn the game, but there's only so much a little one can do without family. Now our friend Rance, he thought he could sit this one out. Turns out, not so. I made his safe little haven not so safe. He's in it now. All his chips on the table. I don't think even you could bail him out. And you'd have to hurry. These are the ties that bind us. You can't cut them. You can't burn them. You can't be rid of them. You just have to live with them. Or die with them, like Carmen, Corey, and Malcolm. You remember how that played out? Exactly how that played out? There's the kid. Set him up.
Man, can't wait till I'm grown up. I'll show him.
I hear your old man's a real asshole. Now I got something that'll make you a big man.
Oh, yeah?
Make you do things you didn't know you could. You want?
I want it.
It's on me. And when you're tapped, there's more where that came from.
All the chemicals we gave him? I'm surprised Corey didn't kill half the city. Wasn't for me, he'd still be alive today. We've been through so much together. Do you remember?
Blackmore owns Eastern now, particularly you two.
Blackmore's here? Where? Show me that shifty snake oil dealer. I've never laid eyes on him.
Hey, I know your old lady. Fucking nice rack.
The prime target is secure. Prepare to release the specimens.
That's funny. I thought I was there. I was there, in your eyes. Nobody else could see me. Those blackouts, there when I get my time. Get your body. Get to be me in the real world. Everybody else who knows Blackmore thinks I look like you. Because I am you. But we've only got the one body. And I'm tired of sharing. Jordan's one of the few who understands me. She wanted to help me get to you, get control of you, and she certainly has done. Every time Carlin came back into your life, I saw you drifting away from me, away from your true self. Taking your time, never quite ready for the real prize. Jordan's one of the few who understands me. She wanted to help me get to you, get control of you. You played right. I couldn't get you to break the rules. And the way I play, it's all or nothing.
This binder contains a quick overview of the different malefactors that Foundation scientists and containment personnel have observed on the streets of Baltimore during our initial sweep. This does not represent the extent of our current knowledge, but provides a succinct overview for those who wish to become acquainted with our subject matter. One of our most interesting finds during the Carnate Island containment operation was a journal written by a fairly intelligent escaping inmate by the name of Clem. He had composed and illustrated a bestiary of all the malefactors he had seen and had named them in an amusing style. Impressed by his work, we've decided to continue his naming convention herein. Slayer. This is the most pervasive of all the malefactors we've encountered. The Slayer has a basic human body shape, but with blades replacing the legs and arms and a metallic apparatus suspending the head. Given its context, the Slayer's appearance evokes blade-wielding street criminals, though the malefactors' blades are longer and sharper than one would normally find even on the most violent Baltimore streets. Arsonist. This malefactor is most curious because of its ability to survive despite being perpetually engulfed in flame. Its fire is persistent and never extinguishes for as long as its host lives. Its flesh appears to flake off as it chars, yet the malefactor seems unhurt. Baltimore has a high incidence of abandoned building fires, often with squatters and other impoverished people trapped in these run-down buildings and burned alive. If only they could survive as well as the arsonist. Gorger. Along with the Carnate Island malefactor the Fester, this gorger is distinct because of its constant need to feed as part of its innate behavior. With its incredibly sharp teeth and highly muscled jaw, this malefactor seems built to do precisely that. This creature appears to be the incarnation of a popular Baltimore urban legend that tells of an insatiable creature that feeds on whatever it can find. Triggerman. A human corpse forms the center of this malefactor. The body appears to have suffered multiple gunshot wounds, particularly to its head, which has lost a significant portion of its mass. The malefactor's legs are vaguely arachnid in form and incorporate some type of automatic rifle. As with the Slayer, this Triggerman seems to tie to Baltimore's tragically prevalent street crime, with a high number of homicides each year resulting from gun violence. Mainliner. An offshoot of the mainliner seen on Carnate, this malefactor's appearance is evocative of the numerous junkies that one finds in Baltimore's poorest neighborhoods. Its innate behavior is to assault enemies with its syringes, suggesting that it's more of an aggressive drug dealer than a drug abuser. The syringes we have analyzed contain a unique heroin-derived concoction that is capable of instantly killing almost any human immediately upon injection. Marksman. This malefactor is nearly identical to the ones we saw in large quantities on Carnate Island. It wears a giant battery of rifles on its back and is able to erupt out of the ground, a particularly impressive sight due to its significant size. In Baltimore's troubled past, there were a few rare occasions of the military being called out to quell civilian uprisings. One can only imagine how this marksman ties to those intense events. Mauler. One of the few malefactors that does not derive from a human skeleton, these beasts do still feature a hideous human skull. Named the Mauler for their savage biting attacks, these malefactors are relentless in their pursuit of a target and seem to be insatiable in their appetite for human flesh. Their appearance often coincides with the manifestation of an apparition, a large human who seems to be their master. Burrower. Cities are built on the backs of those who labored and died to build their underground infrastructure. Just as those laborers needed to adapt to their hostile working conditions, so too has this burrower. This malefactor actually moves beneath the surface of the earth at tremendous speed. The exact physics of how it accomplishes this remain a mystery. especially given that it can successfully tunnel through a wide variety of materials. Suppressor. The suppressor is surprisingly mobile, given that it's missing a number of its limbs and seems to have lost some of its senses. This malefactor can only see enemies when they step into its intense beam of light, but it is relentless once it's spotted a target. Given its appearance and its tendency to show up near Eastern Baltimore Correctional, it seems to be connected to that institution's infamous and brutal Correctional Emergency Response Team, CERT. Isolationist. This malefactor thrives in the darkness and tries to make its environment as dark as possible by disabling or destroying light sources. We've not been able to get a good look at the isolationist, let alone capture one. It appears to have a unique relationship with a cockroach-like malefactor, the Wretch, which it spawns in large numbers. One cannot help but think of inmates locked away in solitary when one glimpses the isolationist. The Horde. By far, this is the largest malefactor that we have witnessed. It is unclear to us if the Horde is unique or if we have simply never seen more than one at a time. It seems like a distant, much larger cousin to the Burrower, but obviously more deadly and destructive. This gigantic malefactor appears to have countless small animal heads sprouting from its body, evoking a mob or horde come to visit their uncontrollable anger upon the unwary.
Having worked long and hard on my scrapbook history of Carnate Island, I wanted something a bit less depressing to take on next. I thought our state's largest city might be an interesting subject, and spend a large portion of my time off the island delving into the history of Baltimore. I cherished my time away from Carnate, but I soon found that Charm City had its own share of dark events from the past. And now I wonder, is it me? Do I seek out these horrible tragedies when I investigate the history of a place? Has Carnate changed me to be fixated on death and horrible suffering? Or is the evil everywhere, if you look hard enough? Baltimore Harbor. Baltimore owes its existence to its geography. It was a major port for the clipper ships of the 18th century, and to this day is a major shipping center on the eastern seaboard. The shipping industry certainly has its seedy side, with criminals and corruptions infesting it in the past and still today. With numerous underused and abandoned facilities, if you ask a resident of Baltimore what exactly the city's docks are used for, likely they would not be able to tell you. Canal Street Mission. One of Baltimore's most tragic stories takes place during the Great Depression. In the 1930s, there was a reverend who, when his soup kitchen ran bare, served up human corpses to his starving followers. This is tied to a persistent urban legend about a creature known as the Gorger. During the food shortages, mothers would tell their children that the Gorger had eaten all of their food, and if they did not behave, he might soon eat them as well. The tunnels. As with any major city of a certain age, beneath Baltimore there are more tunnels than any one person can remember. The working conditions endured while these passages were built were unsafe and often deadly. But immigrant labor, typically from Ireland, had no choice but to engage in these hazardous jobs if they wanted work. People say you can still hear their voices, trapped under the ground, desperately screaming out their last breaths. An old station. A slave state, Maryland sat on the border between the slave-holding South and the free North. Because of this, the state hosted numerous important stations on the Underground Railroad. It was at one of these safe havens in Baltimore that the slave hunter Copperfield revealed his true sadism. The tale says, Copperfield smiled as he let his rabid dogs loose on a number of bountiless runaways, directing the beasts to devour the helpless slaves alive. Site of a lynching. Even the most adept negotiator will agree they may be able to calm the rage of any one individual, but the fury of an enraged mob is all but unstoppable. In Baltimore, some 80 years ago, it was on this corner that the rage of a horde of people could only end in bloodshed. Today, that event is shrouded in mystery. No one even remembers the supposed crime of the accused. It doesn't matter. The horde makes its own right and wrong. Eastern Baltimore Correctional Facility. Though Abbott is a higher security prison containing a harder breed of inmate, Eastern Baltimore Correctional Facility has a legacy that makes it just as notorious. Located deep in the harshest section of East Baltimore, for 50 years the facility was run by a series of cruel wardens who directed a hateful staff. Recently, the brutal criminal Blackmore was said to have done a stint there. Finally, an inmate whose evil surpassed that of his jailers. Eastern Correctional Lunchroom. The secret of every corrections officer is that he is totally powerless against the superior numbers of the inmates. On one fateful day in the 1970s, the inmates at Eastern overthrew their captors, even managing to kill the warden. They say his blood still stains the floor of the lunchroom. A brutal show of force followed, the search unit opening fire on the inmates. Many died, but the inmates had already reminded everyone who truly has the power. Eastern Correctional Solitary Confinement Unit. It is hard to punish those who are already incarcerated. Prisons have focused on removing what few freedoms and privileges inmates retain: light, fresh air, mobility, human contact. Solitary takes away all those things. In Eastern, the COs took it to the extreme, so far that 7 inmates killed themselves rather than live another day in the dark misery of the solitary cells. The story goes that Warden Elroy smiled when he heard the news. Eastern Correctional Machine Shop. The goal of Eastern's most notorious warden, Raymond Elroy, was to keep his inmates as miserable as possible, something accomplished largely through the hard labor forced on them in the machine shop. There was little regard for their safety, with disastrous results. For instance, one day, the valves on the smelters melted off and completely incinerated a number of inmates. The stench of burnt human flesh has never left that room. The Legend of the Creeper. The police have no record of a man named Luther Stickwell, but the people of Baltimore remember him as the Creeper. The legends say he was a pimp whose hatred of women knew no limit, and he ended up killing not only the women in his employ, but also any others who suited his fancy. His eventual body count ranging from 50 to over 200. Few things make me as ill as when I hear he still skulks through the alleyways of Baltimore. Carnate Island. The people of Baltimore and Greater Maryland almost never speak of Carnate Island, as if they wish it did not actually exist. Yet there it looms off the coast, its own dark history surpassing even Baltimore in sheer numbers of atrocities. Today, those of us who live there work in the bleak Abbott State Penitentiary, or are married to those who do. I can assure you, we never forget that it is an intensely deep shade of blood that stains the island's soil. Blackmore's Drowning Pool. It seems the entire city of Baltimore shakes at the mention of the name Blackmore. The notorious drug lord has taken over most of East Baltimore's drug trade, viciously disposing of his enemies in his infamous underground drowning pool. Perhaps the fact that hardly anyone has ever met him is part of his secret. He lives almost as a legend, only visible out of the corner of an eye, looming over the city like a specter of pure evil.
I never threw any of it out. Some of my girlfriends now, they get mad at their boyfriend or husband or whoever. They throw away everything that reminds them of him. Burn it up, tear it to pieces, whatever. As mad as I got at T, I never threw out any of the things that made me remember him. Part of me wanted to forget he ever happened. But another part of me wouldn't let go of the hope that it would all work out in the end. Corey and Malcolm mean everything to me. And it's because of them I get so mad at T. I just want what's best for them, and sometimes I don't know if their father realizes how important he is to their happiness. But T's been doing a good job with them since I moved to Manhattan. Now I miss them more than I ever imagined. And I know I have to be with them again. And if that means taking T back, well, stranger things have happened. Miles is probably T's best friend. He's smart, and I think he has good intentions, but he always seems to be getting into trouble and bringing T down with him. He owns a dive bar called the Underground, and that was where T got into that fight that sent him to jail. I always wondered what part Miles played in all that. I tried so hard to keep T away from influences that would bring us down, but I didn't have much luck. I remember the smell of Eastern even from the outside. It seemed like forever they kept us waiting outside in the rain. Standing there, seeing the other women visiting their men. I just got mad. How could T have brought us this low? When I got inside, it was so cold. I remember the look on T's face when I told him it was over, that I needed a divorce. He looked at me like I had betrayed him. And I told him he had done it to all of us. T once drew a picture of his cell in Eastern and sent it to me. He said he didn't want my pity, he just wanted me to understand what he was going through. While he was locked away, he had a long time to reflect on what had happened, and I think he learned a few things. When he came out, he was a new man. Now the boys came first in his life. I hated he ever went to Eastern, but the way he came out almost made it worth it. The Garvey Children's Home sounds so innocent, but I think it was filled with little monsters. T never told me much about this place, but I learned about it when he would wake up screaming at night. He'd be yelling that he just wanted to be left alone. One day when we were out for a walk, we passed it by accident, and T stopped cold. He turned around, said we had to go home. If there was one building I could burn to the ground. Blackmore. I hate even writing his name down. Now I know it was him. Whether T was guilty of what happened at Miles's bar, I'm not sure. But I know it wouldn't have happened without Blackmore. And the things Blackmore said to me about the boys? It's one thing being king drug dealer, or whatever he is, but Blackmore takes evil to another level. He's almost too evil to be real, and I've never even seen him in the flesh.